And we're live. Welcome back to Shift the Journey. Good evening, Shifties. It doesn't seem like evening. It is like blazing hot outside. This is like life on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Um, right now, yeah, 6 o'clock. It is the feels like outside is like 105 or something crazy
Dang.
like that. Yeah, like 90% humidity too. So you walk out the door. You don't even have to walk out the door. You just open the door. It's like you've fallen into like a really hot pond,
Yeah.
except you're still upright.
Yeah, I tell you, I was at an outdoor wedding yesterday and it was 90 plus at like 5:30 in the evening. It was 90 plus with about 90% humidity. Thankfully, the rain held off, but every man there was just soaked. Like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, it
And
was
then when
horrible.
it rains, it's worse because then it's like, oh,
Yep.
I'm in a sauna.
Yeah, now it's even muggier. We're under a
Yeah.
10. So,
Gross. Oh man. Anyway, hey everybody. If you've never watched this show, this is Shift the Journey. It's something I came up with because I like to talk, I guess. And I'm not afraid of the camera. Also a well-known fact. But I'm am a retired military veteran, and I had some issues transitioning to civilian life, and so what I really want to do was like just hear some stories of people who have been through that transition as well, as kind of an encouragement for somebody else who is thinking about making that leap, or somebody who is definitely making that leap, like, hey, it's been 20 years and I'm ready to go.
yeah.
Or like, I can't re-enlist. That's another story.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, we're here just to provide some stories and some encouragement. And if you're thinking about a career change of some kind, whether it's just like something in your industry, something outside your industry, something completely unrelated to what you're doing now, we can provide you with our stories. It's not a blueprint for what you can do, but it's definitely evidence that it can be done. So today's guest is Albert Bellamy. I've been trying to get this guy on the show for like 3,000 years, like four score and 7 years ago. No, it
Yeah.
was like, but finally we get a chance to talk to Major Data himself. All right.
Yeah, I
So,
feel like I should have worn my shirt. I just kind of worked and cooked right up until it was showtime, and then I never put my swag on. But I'm repping
oh,
the company here.
okay. All right. So, where are you from originally?
Ooh, going back that far, huh?
Oh,
I
yeah.
enlisted out of Ohio back in a previous millennium, and yeah, but that feels like forever ago because I haven't been back since, other than to swing by family. But yeah, I went to high school and then part of college in Ohio.
Yeah. So, when you were growing up, did you have somebody that you looked up to that was in the Marines and you're like, you know what? I want to be a Marine?
Nope. No, as far as I know, I'm the first Marine in my family. I
Oh,
had some people. My dad served in the Army during Vietnam. Um, Couple of grandparents that were in World War II, all in the Army.
same
But
here.
no, yeah, nobody's ever even been in the Department of the Navy, as far as I know, let
Wow.
alone the men's department. So yeah, I am the first.
Said the men's department.
Yeah,
I've never heard that. That's good. I like
you're welcome. Yeah,
that. Most of these like military branch versus branch jokes, usually I get the short end of the stick, when it's like, the chair force, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, listen, my chair is very comfortable, and
yes,
nobody told you to go sleep in the dirt until you signed up for the wrong branch. So,
yeah,
somebody could have told you, hey, if you want to sleep in the dirt, or you don't want to sleep in the dirt and you want a comfy chair, you need to join the Air Force.
yeah. Oh, you don't have to tell me, man. My son-in-law is a pred pilot, so
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
he's slung a lot of Hellfire missiles from nice, comfy, air-conditioned offices in Nellis and
It's so
everywhere's now.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's nuts, man. So,
Yep.
when you joined the Marines, you enlisted, huh?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. And so did you have like dreams of traveling the world, and or like going, you know what? I want to spend a lot of time in San Diego. I don't know.
Now I had no. It wasn't really a see the world thing. I'd actually lived overseas before.
Okay.
So the there was no great. Plus, like the Marine Corps doesn't get, unless you're in like security forces or some sort of special detail. If you're on a Marine security guard, we don't get to go any cool places. We'll float around and maybe spend a day or two in Thailand or Philippines or something. But
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, as far as duty stations, it's continental United States, Hawaii, and Okinawa. So
Okay.
you know, Hawaii's not bad, but yeah, it's not a. I didn't have any great dreams of seeing the world. No, it was mostly just I needed to. I felt like I needed to make a change in myself,
Okay.
and it
Yeah.
was something I'd always dreamed of doing. Not necessarily the Marine Corps, but just being in the military. And yeah, just felt like it was really time. I was flaming out of college. I was just kind of personally a mess, and it's like, all right, well, let me get straightened out and have a guaranteed job for 4 years and see how this goes. And
It's
joke was
funny.
on me 23 years later.
Yeah, it sounds like you're reading my mail, man. Because I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm like, yeah, yeah. A few different colleges,
Yep.
didn't do so well. People say, "Oh, I didn't do so well, not for lack of trying." No, it was lack of trying,
Oh,
big
yeah.
time. I mean, I
100%.
wasn't, I
It
wasn't,
was nobody's fault but my own.
yeah,
I
I
failed
wasn't
me.
ready for college
Yeah.
at 17 years old. Was not ready. And then later on, 18 and 19 years old was also not ready.
Yeah.
20 years old, yeah. So what are some of the things that you did when you got out of training? What was your first job in active duty?
I was a maintenance management clerk, which is every bit as sexy and heroic as it sounds.
Oh yeah.
I was pushing paper around the desk, reading. I remember like back in the Stone Age of computers, all the staff NCOs were jealous because I was the one PFC that had an email account. It's pretty big time. Had my own computer. That was
Oh
that
wow.
was a big thing back then. You'd have a
Yeah.
battalion, maybe you had a dozen computers for the whole unit. I had one because I needed it. So yeah, it was kind of funny. But yeah, we couldn't like send like our processing transactions for the logistical, like the repair stuff we were doing. We couldn't send it. We did have email, but we
Mhm.
couldn't attach attachments to the email back then. So the way that
What?
we would submit was we would take a no kidding physical floppy disk, like the 5-inch big actual floppy ones, and like hand walk it over to the regimental S4 and plug it into their machine, and they would download the file. And
Oh
yeah,
my gosh.
it was hard times back in the
Yeah.
90s.
That's so funny, man. It
Yeah.
just I got a memory that like when we would have to send documents, we'd have to put it in a specific kind of manila envelope
Yeah.
with the holes in it, right? The holy
Yep.
Joe. You guys call it that too?
We did
And it's
not,
like
but that
like a
sounds like a good
string.
term though. Yeah, I remember the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
And Woby tied the poor bastard that like wrote the wrong thing on the outside. Like
Oh,
if you wasted a manila envelope, they acted like you had just leaked state secrets to the Chinese
yeah.
or something. Yeah,
That's so
it was fun.
funny. So, as a clerk, did you get into like any kind of analytical work?
It kind of was. And I didn't really, I spent a lot of time in the Marine Corps kind of whining about, well, I never got to be an analyst. Like I never
Hmm.
got to do like by title analytics. But then it was funny because when I got to the end and I got the opportunity to go get a master's degree in analytics, and I kind of look back at things, and when I started meeting with people on the way out of the Marine Corps, I started realizing, they're looking at things on my resume and they're like, "Oh, well, you're a supply chain analyst." I'm like, "No, I wasn't supply." And they're like, "Yeah, whatever, man. Like this is what you were doing." And I was
Hmm.
like, "Oh, yeah, I was doing that. Okay, that makes sense." And then when I started going back and looking at it with fresh eyes, I realized, like, we were writing code. It was,
Yeah.
it wasn't anything, it wasn't an actual code language, but we had our own language. All of these codes, I remember, a half dozen of them still today. It's like these 2-digit codes that represented where the truck was in the maintenance cycle, and
Oh, yeah.
and the types of logistical transactions we had to send in, and the different serial numbers we had to. And It was just speaking in code. It's just a number that represents
Yeah.
a thing in real life.
Hmm.
And so yeah, looking back on that, it was like, oh yeah, I was a supply chain analyst. I just had no idea at the time. I was just like the poor slob that had to like, read these reams of paper to the commander and tell him where his Humvee was.
It's yeah, it's funny because a lot of people get caught up in job titles,
Hmm.
but I know having been in analytics in the civilian world for it's been like almost 11 years. Job titles don't mean anything.
Yeah,
I've seen
especially
where
military ones. They don't know what we're talking about.
yeah, but it's like the content of like what you've been doing and how you
Yeah,
can translate it to your resume, which I know is like part of your business, right?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's like 90% of it is like you've got to have the right amount of confidence.
Mhm.
And the vast majority of the people that I talk to, they need more confidence. There
Yes.
is a small subset of people that are just kind of they're either actually wildly overconfident and they should dial it
Mhm.
back, or they're acting wildly overconfident. But yeah, you get these people. I mean, we had a guy. I did a transition webinar and I was a spectator in it. But there was a guy in there, and he was retiring '06, and I won't say which branch, but it was definitely mine. And he was saying he was going to go be like in the C-suite at a Fortune 500 corporation,
Ooh,
and I was
okay.
like, bro, like. Love your confidence, but you are way off base. And he just would not be
Yeah.
talked down. He
Wow.
his plans did meet reality, and he did not. I can say to this day, unless his LinkedIn profile is not updated, he is not in the C-suite at
Oh,
anything other
yeah.
than maybe his own S corp, where he's the CEO, founder,
Oh,
COO,
yeah.
owner, operator, yeah, whatever. But yeah, like there's that small subset that's wildly overconfident, but most of us need a little kind of a little boost up
Yeah.
for a branch of society where we're supposedly like loudmouths and braggarts, and we're our own worst enemy. We don't think we can do anything
Yeah.
other than like the well-worn territory, like be a cop, be a project manager.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. So, what were some of the other roles that fulfilled in the Marines?
Yeah, I did that logistics job for it really was about 7 years. Technically I was on the rolls as a maintenance clerk for 9. um but yeah, those last couple of years I was in the officer pipeline. And so, yeah, when I became an officer, we had this war on terror thing going on, and I was like, yeah, I'd
Mhm.
like to do something combat arms, but I wasn't really. I was like, hey man, I'm 30, and I was never a fast runner to begin with, so I really don't want to be an infantry officer. Um, so I was like, well, let me see what I can do in combat arms to go get in the fight. That's not infantry. And my first
Mhm.
unit was an artillery unit. I really enjoyed
Mhm.
it, like the people, like the work. It's, just strikes me as a more kind of cerebral thinking form of warfare. Not no
Mhm.
disrespect to my grunts out there, but um, and then they have argued with me on that point before. But yeah, it just appealed to me, and so I got that, and I went, and joke was on me because there were 3 or 4 times as a artillery officer that I got tasked with being either battalion logistics officer, or I got to Iraq and they said, yeah, we don't really need fire support so much as we need a logistics officer.
Oh.
um so yeah, felt like I was a raging bull, where it's like the more I try to get out, the more they reel me back in. What
Oh,
movie is
that's,
that?
well, I don't know if
I got the wrong movie. Taxi Driver.
no, no, no. You're getting close. Godfather 3.
Oh, okay.
It was Al
Wow, I was way off.
Pacino. Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
Okay.
I mean, so 6 Degrees of right? There's,
Yeah.
that was De Niro is what you were thinking, but it was Pacino,
True.
and they were together in although they were never on the screen together at the same time because there were different times of the life of,
True.
Vito
Well, one
Andolini.
was play the young version of his father. Yeah.
Right, yeah, yeah, yeah.
De
I said
Niro
Vito
was
Andolini.
Vito.
Yes, that
Yep.
was his name, Vito Corleone.
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's crazy. Like, we often get, um, it's funny because I'm like, yeah, I want to get away from X, Y, and Z. But then you get to a workplace, and a good leader, I think, is somebody who uses somebody who has a particular skill or talent that will boost the whole, unit.
A
But
certain
if
set of skills, would you say?
Yes, a certain
Or
set of
or just
skills,
dropping movie
absolutely.
quotes like,
Yes, I was trying not to. I was trying not
ecosystems.
to, but yeah, it's but I feel like, if let's say so like, I'm a musician, right? And I play in church, and
Yeah.
I have a team, and if I have somebody who's like really good at guitar but they also play piano, I will have them play guitar because they're really good at guitar. And they're like, "Oh, well, play some piano too." Yes, but you really play guitar.
Hmm.
And so it elevates the whole group when you use people in the spot where they're good. So whoever it was that was leading you was like, "You know what? I think you would fit great as a logistics officer." They're like, "Oh, I'm gonna get a promotion out of
The
this."
real joke was I wound up doing both. So
Oh, wow.
anyway, yeah,
Wow. So
that's
and then so your LinkedIn says that you're in for 23 years and 4 months, huh?
sounds right. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
23 years and something.
What would you say is the best part of being enlisted, and then the best part of, being an officer?
Oof. Um, Best part of being enlisted. I think I really, I'm a guy that always reason why I became an analyst. I'm a guy that always wants to be right and always wants to have the answer. And I really enjoyed, and I joke about all the '08, the artillery staff sergeants that were jealous of the PFC that had his own computer and an email account. But I really enjoyed being the one lance corporal that had like a direct line to the commander, and I would just,
Mm,
and he basically would say, "Hey, when you've got an emergency or something like my trucks can't roll to the field or whatever, don't bother. Just high five the first sergeant on your way in, and let's talk." Um, that was really pretty cool.
mm,
That I was kind of one of one in a lot of units, and if I wasn't one of one, it I was able to make myself the one we used to call it the OMNA, the one man national asset. I would get in there and I would master the skills required to where everybody immediately knew, hey, Bellamy's the guy to go to if you really need some magic to happen.
mhm,
That's what I really enjoyed. That from a low rank, I had an opportunity to do that,
mhm,
and I took advantage of that as often as I could.
mhm,
Favorite part of being an officer. Um, I really just I loved, and it really was my favorite part of being a Marine in general was I loved knowing that no matter what was popping off in the world, that there was a reasonable chance that we were going to be able to go do something about it. And as an officer, it was like I was going to be an integral part of that.
hmm,
Um, and that you had a lot of agency where you could, especially around the time that I was like a lieutenant and a captain, you could just raise your hand and be like, "Oh, there's like 3 IAs to go to Iraq. Well, I'll go."
mhm,
And you know, 2 weeks later, you were training to go on a transition team, or you were, plussing up somebody somewhere. You're an individual augment to some unit that was down there. So that was a really kind of exciting thing. Um,
mhm,
Even going on some of the more mundane deployments, like taking a unit to Okinawa, it's like, yeah, I mean, Okinawa's not terribly interesting, but there's a whole lot of interesting stuff that could go on around there, and
yeah,
they might need some artillery to go. I mean, we did some crazy stuff the first time I went to Okinawa as a lieutenant. So, yeah, I really just enjoyed the feeling of importance of the mission and of our
mhm,
role in it, and of being a key player in potentially the solution to some real world problem that
mhm,
like some warlord somewhere is hurting innocent people. There's a pretty good chance you're gonna be the mean men with guns that go and prevent that from happening.
Mhm.
That's awesome. That's a great feeling.
Mm.
And yeah, and it can be kind of an addictive feeling too. That's one of the few things that I kind of miss on after getting out is like you watch the news and it's like, somebody else's problem.
Yeah, I was about to ask you, is there anything that you miss about serving?
Yeah, I would say really just two things. It's that the sense of importance of the work. I love my job, love what I do, but in the grand scheme of things, it's I'm making a company rich. Um, and so and then I'm doing my own thing on the side, and I'm writing books and all that crazy stuff. But yeah, like 9 to 5, I'm a salary man for a for-profit company that makes software,
Yeah.
and I love it, but I'm aware that that's nowhere near as important as the things that I used to do. So I do miss that feeling like you're part of the solution for things that are going wrong in the world.
Yeah.
And the other thing is just the people.
Yes.
Really miss just rolling up every morning, putting on the tree suit and doing dude stuff with a bunch of dudes. Um,
Yeah.
I miss
Yeah,
it.
I was gonna say definitely, miss the camaraderie.
Yeah.
I was told when I was going through TAP that, "Oh, yeah, you're gonna miss it." I was like, "I ain't never gonna miss this. This is garbage," you know? And then I'm like, I don't know, a few weeks later, I'm like, you know what I miss? I miss, like, Squadron PT, like,
Yeah.
who misses that? It was fun, you
Yep.
know?
Yeah.
Um, like, doing sit-ups until, my abs were gonna explode with some other dude who worked on a desk down the hall,
Yeah.
but or, like, even deployments that people like you call deployments. Hey, it wasn't my fault. My unit went to Qatar. It was not
Yes.
my fault. And I went 5 times. So, and I did sleep in a tent the first time. It was an air conditioned tent. And I slept in my mummy bag, my sleeping bag, because I was so cold.
Yeah.
We had some big dudes in my tent and it had to be cold, cold.
Wow.
And so, like, I was like this, like,
Yeah.
oh, it's so cold. Um, and of course, I get grief from my father-in-law who's retired Army. He was Army active
Hmm.
duty and National
Yeah.
Guard. And he's like, "Oh, y'all had air conditioning." I said, "Listen, I didn't set it up. I was told this is where you're sleeping. I'm sleeping there. Holy cow, it's cold." You know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
Oh
heard it
man.
from, I got to Afghanistan at the very end of Camp Leatherneck, and we're there in air conditioned cans, and I had heard from so many guys that were like, just rucking it through the hills in Nowzad and all of these horrible places. I'm like, yeah, it sounds terrible. The one time our AC went out, and that was really bad. I used to hear the rocket siren every once in a while. But anyway,
Oh man. So Chris Garrow, this is Pastor Chris. He's up in Marquette, Michigan. He's an Army veteran. Guitar
yeah.
has ashes now bombed up. What?
Oh wow, did
That
not know that.
that's nuts, man. Yeah,
I did
his
see. I remember being at Ali Asalim and seeing the like the Saddam's old hangars, or I suppose they were the Kuwaiti Air Force's hangars, and then became Saddam's hangars,
oh,
and
right.
like the holes that they punched, like our bunker buster bombs
Yeah.
went in and punched holes, and they'd never fixed them.
Oh, man.
Still had these abandoned hangars with like a little like kind of round crater in the top, and that was where Saddam's Air Force was until we dropped the bomb on each one of the little
Yeah.
hangars and detonated his planes before they ever took off.
Yeah, it's so crazy, like, yeah, I some of the stuff that, when I'm walking around outside here, like, walking to and from my car, which I said is a mile away. It's a literal mile away because the shipyard anyway,
Yeah.
it's one of the things I think about is, like, it's so hot, but then it's like, this is not like Middle East hot, like, where you
Yes.
feel like your skin is on fire. Um, and then I don't know, getting old, so I'm like thinking of um, all these like memories and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like really the things that I miss are the people, the shared trauma,
Yes.
shared trauma responses, and just I don't know, man. There are some times where we're like a bunch of people from who are stationed all over the world, and we're all in one deployed location, and we
Yeah.
all like played instruments and stuff, and we'd hang out at the
Oh,
chapel and
nice.
just play and sing all night.
Yeah.
um so oof, yeah, that's so crazy, man.
Yeah.
It's a different world now.
Yep.
Ooh. So when you were like transitioning out, did you already have a plan? Did you have somebody that you were talking to and like interviewing with? Did you know what you were going to do?
I really didn't. I what I had done well was create opportunities for myself and just set up, like, I'd identified a ways out. I've actually done some analytics, like a no kidding decision tree with probabilities and all that. And it was like, okay, well, I'm going to get to this point, and this is where I'll get considered for command, which I wasn't competitive for command. I knew that. But I was like, okay, I'll get considered for command on this board if I'm still around. And then I'll get considered for promotion to lieutenant colonel on this board. And I had it all planned out, and it was like, this is when I'll be expected to rotate from Camp Lejeune. Um, and and my kids will be in these grades in high school, and I had all of that kind of mapped out a couple of years in advance. And I said, okay, well, this is my time window where I've either got to drop my retirement papers or stick around and wait for promotion. And if I do that, then if I want to keep my kids in the same high school, I've got to try and homestead and volunteer for whatever horrible job the monitors got for me. Um, but yeah, I had that all mapped out. I got my master's degree, which wound up really not amounting to much other than giving me some good confidence. But employment wise, it really didn't weigh in nearly as much as I thought it would.
Mm-hmm.
But I had done all of those things just like I volunteered for a DARPA fellowship, and I went and spent 3 months working at DARPA. Also didn't wind up being super relevant, but it's just another thing you can kind of attach to the brand and say, this is who I am. I did SkillBridge, and then this was, of course, after I decided to retire, but did
Right.
SkillBridge, and the opportunity came up. They had just started the SkillBridge program at Google, and I was like, working at Google sounds awesome. And so I did the SkillBridge at Google. Was that was not tremendously impactful as far as getting a job. However, it means that I can put Google on my resume forever and ever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so a lot of those things, it was just kind of, hey, let's stack some wins and let's see where this gets us at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And I spent most of my career keeping my family informed of the plan and not necessarily involving them in the plan.
Yeah.
My kids were obviously young earlier on, but yeah, I would kind of I convinced myself that I was involving my wife in the decision making, but really I was just coming home and telling her like, "Hey, this is the move." Thumbs up, thumbs down, and she just, she approved whatever was obviously the choice that I wanted to go with. And so, I really kind of reverse engineered all of that on the way out. And
Mm-hmm.
I made sure that I had a lot of flexibility. I had the decision points identified. I knew when I had to kind of, or get off the pot. And then when it came time to make the decisions, it was like, all right, well, I've stacked up all the evidence that I need to see, and I know how I'm feeling, and I know what's going on in the Marine Corps, and I know, I've got all the information I need to make a decision. And then from there, it was like networking and getting myself to as many transition events and into as many organizations as I could, and figuring out which ones were working for me. Um, so I mean, I kind of laughed at the time because I was like, yeah, I'm probably overdoing the crap out of this, but I was like, I was going to Mike Quinn's USO webinars, and I was doing 50 strong. I did 4 block. I did probably 2 or 3 others that I'm forgetting. But yeah, I did tons of SkillBridge, did a lot of transition stuff. And so that there was nothing for a while there was really nothing I said no to. If I felt like there was a chance that it would help my transition.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, I was a little stressed. I definitely at times loaded too much onto my plate,
Yeah, I was gonna say.
but no time was I totally overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't know going in like what's going to be helpful, what's going to be pivotal, what's going to be useless.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's very little way to say, because you talk to 10 people, if you talk to 10 people that did USO webinars, you get some that say they're wonderful, some that say they're worthless, and and some that say they're informative. It's probably that way for everything. Talk to 10
Oh
people
yeah.
about 50 strong, same thing. Talk to 10 people about vets to industry, same thing. Because it's just different things work for different people.
Yes. Yep.
And so a lot of things like I had to try them myself. And there were certain things that I went to a couple of meetings and I was like, this is not working for me. I'm not feeling it. And but yeah, some things were really tremendously valuable. But I try not to tell people like thou must do this thing
Yeah.
because it's I've heard from people that vouch for programs that I found not useful and they're like this was the thing that enabled my follow-on career. Hey, awesome. I don't want to dissuade anybody from something that might work for them. Um, if they
Yeah.
ask, I'll tell them what worked for me. But give me 1 second. Let me close this stupid blinds real quick.
Okay. Oh wow.
I'm like,
It
man,
looks
I'm getting
like
darker and darker. It's like
it
night
looks
and
like
day.
you turned on the lights. That's
Yeah, I
crazy.
know.
Um,
I was like, I can barely even see myself on the screen now. Sorry
it
about that,
was
folks.
like I you know what I interviewed a guy who he has small kids and he was trying to find a nice quiet spot in his house and he was just too loud. So he's like, I'm sitting in my Jeep in the parking lot of Best Buy. And so it was in the winter time, so the sun started going down. I'm like, I
Yeah.
feel like I'm interviewing Batman. Because it was
I tell
so
you, man,
dark.
I used to do, I became, speaking of things, the weird things that enabled transition, I became a fan of a analytics podcast, and the guy just happened to be podcasting out of Greensboro, which is 4 hours up the road from me.
Right.
But I became a fan of his podcast, and I started talking to him. We connected on LinkedIn. We started messaging back and forth. He had me on as a guest of the podcast, and then people liked the episode, and I helped promote it. And then he's like, "Hey, do you want to help out with the podcast, like to collect viewer questions and stuff like that?" So I started, I'm still working. I'm still a battalion XO, but I would he would do the podcast live once a week during the day. Well, I would hop in my car and just drive to, a parking lot out of the way and mount my phone on the dash and do my portion of the podcast right there. Just, sunglasses on, like take my blouse off. So,
Yeah.
it's just like skivvy shirt, and it became like this running thing. People started calling my car the mobile analytics unit. Yeah, it was hilarious. But yeah, it's like you do it wherever you can get it. I don't know how many transition webinars and events I went to that was just pick my laptop up, like tell the CEO, hey sir, I got to do a transition thing. He's like, all right, and then I go into another trailer or a side office and close the door and come back in an hour. Yeah, I did that from other offices, from my car,
Hmm.
all the time.
So, what was your first job after getting out of the military?
I did marketing analytics for a company called Analect.
Hmm.
They It was really interesting because they tried to get me for SkillBridge and their SkillBridge program wasn't set up. Well, part of what they wanted me to do was come in and help them set it up. I didn't really feel comfortable with that. And it was like, hey, Google's over here. And it's like, oh my God, it's Google. And so I went and did the Google. Now, in hindsight, I probably would have been better off just going and doing my SkillBridge with Analect and then signing right on with them to work because I would have
Hmm.
I had some growing pains when I eventually went over there. But yeah, I mean, the great thing about interning with Google was I knew I didn't want to work for them long term. um, for various reasons. But I knew that I could work remote for Analect, and
Hmm.
so once I started wrapping up the skill bridge with Google, I reconnected with the people that I knew at Analect, and I was like, "Hey, do you have a job that I can interview for real, not an internship?" They said, "Absolutely." And so I came in and interviewed with them, and wound up getting like 3 or 4 firm job offers from them. I got a couple of military contractors, and not a negotiator by any stretch, and I have not
Yeah.
negotiated a salary since. But I just kept them all in the loop and said, "Hey, I've got this offer from this other company." And they said, "Let's see if we can match that." And they would come back, they would say, "Okay, here's our new offer." And I would go back to the first company and be like, "Hey, I'm leaning towards this other company. I've got this." And I didn't keep that up. I did that like a couple of times. But
Yeah.
until one company said, "Hey, we can't match that." And I said, "Okay." And I wound up going with the lower offer, actually, because I felt like
Hmm.
I wanted to get out of the defense industry.
Yeah.
Um, but it still was, they bumped their offer up by like 10 grand based
Hmm.
on that I had competing offers that were for more.
Yeah, it's
Um,
the negotiation is so important. I
yeah,
actually have negotiated only like it was like 2 or 3 times because it, like, really gives me anxiety.
yeah.
It really I'm
Oh
like,
yeah,
but the last time I did it, it was totally worth it because of a lot of things I'm not gonna go into, but
yeah,
it was like, I'm like, "Oh, wow. I'm glad I negotiated."
yeah.
Um, and that's something that, like, I don't know, they didn't really cover in TAP, or maybe one guy did cover it, but he made it sound so easy, and I was like, "It's not that easy.
It's not.
It's not. It's
Yeah,
not." It was, like, really hard for me as a person, but maybe it's easier for some people.
yeah. I mean, sometimes it's probably easier just to ask, like, "Hey, is this a flexible offer?"
Yeah.
Um, and I think the thing that makes it easier is you don't realize, it's like you're not you're not getting the salary offer from the person that's responsible for the budget. You're not getting the salary offer even from the person that's going to be your manager. So
Mhm.
you're not sounding like a money grubbing jerk by
Yeah.
saying, "Hey, is there any wiggle room on this offer?" Like,
Right.
I was really hoping to make X.
Yeah.
It's generally the recruiter or somebody in HR or something like that. They don't care
Yeah.
what you make. I
Yeah.
mean, then half the time they're on your side. I've had
Yeah.
recruiters straight up tell me like, "Hey, I'm supposed to offer you 120, but I'm authorized to go up to 130."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Neat. I'll take
Yeah.
that. I'll
Well,
take that bigger
alrighty.
number then."
Thank you so much for that.
But and they'll straight up tell you like, "I'll go back and advocate that you get the cap number or the."
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, there's all sorts of. I've learned all sorts of tactics by reading books about career shaping. That's like, it's not, you don't have to play hardball and say, and lie, or like, do like used car salesman tactics. You can just ask, like, what's
Yeah.
when they say, what salary are you looking to make? What's the budget for the job?
Yeah.
That's not, there's nothing wrong with that question.
Yeah.
No, nobody should get
You
offended by that.
you asked me a
What's in your,
question, I'm
what's
gonna
your budget for
answer
this
the
hire?
question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and you can say, when they come down and they say, here's your offer that's in Workday or whatever the HR system is, and you're like, "Hey, is there any wiggle room here? Like, or is this a take it or leave it?"
Mhm.
Um, and they'll yeah, usually the person's delivering it, they got no dog in the fight. They'll tell you,
Yeah.
"Hey, this is
They'll
a
be
firm
like,
offer. It's a yes
yeah.
or no, or
Yep.
we could take it
Yeah.
back." Yeah.
I've
So I've
had
had
I've
I've
had people
moved.
say that.
Not only have I moved, done a full on lateral move within my current company, I've looked into 3 other lateral moves that haven't panned out for various reasons. But yeah, one of them was straight up, they were just like, "Hey, this job is a step down in salary, and we couldn't pay you what you're making now. I'm like, okay,
Mhm. Yeah.
cool. Yeah, appreciate the honesty.
Cool. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's never quite as cut. You know, I've had people say always negotiate. Well, no, don't always negotiate. Like always see if it's a possibility.
Right. That's a better approach to it,
Yeah,
because if it's like always negotiate, you're like charging in without,
yeah,
good intel. It's
yep.
not wise. So, I think I remember the story of how you got your, first role at your current company. Do you do you have a um is there something like, I'm trying to remember. I'm pretty sure you like went and got that one and they came after you. Is that how it went?
It was a bit of both actually.
Yeah.
And the lesson that I always tell people about when I first got hired at Alteryx is don't burn bridges. I
Mhm.
don't care how bad, and I've had to reteach myself this from time to time, but I don't care how bad somebody pisses you off. If they can be an asset to you down the road, there's no there's no reason to hold grudges.
Mhm.
Um, the lady that got me hired at Alteryx she was an Alteryx power user back in the day when she popped up on my radar screen. They call them aces, Alteryx aces. And I think it was I was still doing stuff with the Tableau user group, the veterans.
Mhm.
And I suggested her as a guest. I think it was me that suggested her. Yeah, because I felt kind of guilty when it didn't pan out. Um, I didn't know she's a little flaky. Um, good good lady, really liked her, but didn't know at the time. Bit of an odd bird. And so she flaked on us. We had her lined up for to be our guest speaker. I had heard her on an Alteryx podcast as a guest and really liked what she had to say, thought she was interesting. And it was like, oh, okay, the Tableau user group, like we talk about other platforms, they talk about Power
Mhm.
BI, and it's like, let's talk about Alteryx. And it
Mhm.
was what I was using at the time working for Analyst. And so I asked this lady to come on and be a guest, and she was all about it, very excited. She's veteran friendly. And yeah, she rogered up. We scheduled it and everything. She didn't show.
Oh man, that's
Yeah.
rough.
And, I felt terrible. Like the guys, some of the other guys in the group were like fit to be tied. Like, and, I like didn't hear from her for a while. And then, she sent me an email out of the blue for something. And, we started talking again. And, it's just, I just didn't burn the bridge.
Yeah.
And like 9 months later, she had an opportunity. She got hired at Alteryx and had an opportunity at the company and came asking if I knew anyone that wanted to come interview. I said, I'm interested. And she said, well, that's, yeah, that's what I was angling for to begin with. So why don't you come interview next week?
Wow.
And yeah, job was mine.
That's
So
awesome, man.
yeah. And it's like, okay, well, I don't know. I don't know why she didn't show up for the guest
Yeah.
appearance, and
Who
never
knows?
seemed like a good opportunity to ask her about it. I didn't see any upside to that. She's like water under the bridge at that point. I wasn't going to ask her again, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the fact that I remained cordial with her and I wound up meeting her. I went to um, the company convention and met her in person, and we struck up a friendship. And yeah, it's just like job I've had for the last 3.5 years now was due to that relationship.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've had 3 3 roles where I got through networking.
Hmm.
One was the the hiring manager knew the guy who hired me to the role that I was in at that time. He wasn't there anymore, but
Yeah.
he that guy is an Alteryx ace. And then I went to go work for an Alteryx ace.
Yeah.
And then I had a former client. He said, "Hey, I want you to work for me." So I went to go work for them, and then went back to a former employer who's like, "Hey, I got a client that's like right up your alley. Okay, let's go." So,
Yeah.
I mean, it happens. It definitely happens. Networking is great, and my favorite thing about networking is um, it's not always what you can get, but what you can give. I
Yeah.
love it. I love being able to connect people.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like you've got to know your strengths and weaknesses with that too. Like I'm not a connector.
Mhm.
I forget people's names for one. I don't like people will be like, like one day Joe will tell me like, "Hey, I'm in San Antonio and I'm looking for a new job. I just got laid off or whatever." I'm like, "I'll, love you, man. I got your back. I'll see if I know anything." And sometimes I'll kind of search and see who I know there, but then
Mhm.
a week later someone will be like, "Hey, do you know any analysts in San Antonio?" And I'm like, I feel like I do. Let me get back to you. I just my brain does not make those connections.
Yeah,
I don't know why
yeah.
it is.
Hey,
I don't mean to do it. It's not
yeah.
it's not that I don't care about people. It's
Mhm.
just something about that just does
It's just
not. And I know people that are just amazing at that. I'm like,
yeah.
man, am I glad I know you because you're probably gonna help me out someday. And if I can help you out, I will. But yeah, I I like it much better when people are like, "Hey, my cousin is getting into analytics. Can I put him in touch with you?" And
Yes.
and get help on a Zoom call. All about that. I love getting on calls with people, if they're invested in it. A lot of times you'll get that kind of third hand thing, and they're like, "Let me introduce you to my buddy," and I'm like, "Yeah, I see where this is going." And
Yeah.
like the buddy is not invested. It's like,
Yeah.
"All right, cool, yeah, good to high five, good to connect with you. I'm never going to hear from you again." But
So
but yeah, when the third party is invested, and it's like, let's jump on a call, let's talk about, because when they ask you in a DM, like, do you have any advice? That's the worst.
oh, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
because it's
so
like, come
vague.
on, man. Yeah,
That's like
and
if
I've taken to I used to just blow people off when they would ask that, or I'd give them some trite like, hey, Chat GPT, give me a paragraph of, but now I'll usually just be like, hey, it's a pretty that's a pretty low effort question. Like, what
yeah.
do you have anything specific that you want to know? So yeah,
Spe Speaking of specifics, this is another
Belize,
pastor that I
got them
know.
all.
He likes to hear my loud laugh. All right. So I have a question for you. This
Sure.
is a conversation that comes up amongst people who are like trying to get into different, careers, especially tech careers,
Hmm.
analytics, all that. So I don't know if it's an argument or a conversation, but people often say like,
Depends on
"Oh,
who's
how
engaging it, I
much
suppose.
yeah, how much does your education weigh in like looking for a job?
Yeah.
How much does in like bachelor versus masters? How much does like a boot camp, a non-traditional like type of education, certifications, or just like something analytics adjacent? Like what if somebody is looking for an analytics role now, especially now because this you always say on your post that this job market's not bad. It's bad, man. It's terrible. But like, what would you say? Like, where do you put those things? How do you weigh those things against each other?
I think a lot of it is like your number one is always going to be experience, and not just experience, but can you communicate the experience effectively? So that's it right there. Like number one, if I've got 10 people applying for a job and three of those people have the exact specific domain specific tech specific experience that I want, and two of those three communicated effectively, those two are getting the interviews, and I'm not
Mhm.
going to bother with anybody else. Um, because you can't divine intent from a resume. So it's like you can have the greatest intent, you can have the greatest experience. If you haven't communicated that worth of crap, it's useless on a resume. Now, if you're networking, then it's useful because then you got actual people that know that you can do the job.
Mhm.
So that's a whole different ballgame. But
Yeah.
on a resume, obviously experience is going to be king. And if I get applicants to clearly have the experience I need, I have no reason to continue looking. In a situation where I'm on the back foot as an employer and I'm going begging for people that have exactly the skill set that I want,
Mm-hmm.
now I'm willing to compromise. So if I get 100 applications and none of them, or only one or two of them, have the experience that I want, and I want to interview 8 or 10 people to kind of cover my bases, or because it's a company policy or whatever, um, I got to figure out who's next. So you're going to call up the people that have clearly communicated they have the experience, and then what's after that? Well, then you start parsing through, like, okay, is an internship worth more than a boot camp? Probably. Again, as long as they've communicated their experience from the internship. Is a boot camp better or worse than a degree? It depends. Is the degree from a name brand school?
Mm-hmm.
Is it in the specific discipline that I'm looking for? If not, now you're getting into gray areas.
Yeah.
Is the boot camp? Is it a name brand boot camp? Because there are such things.
Yes.
Or is it, kind of an asynchronous? Is it like Google data analytics professional or something, like some self-guided, like kind of zero verification kind of thing? Less convincing. For better or worse, the high ticket ones are more convincing. Why? Because somebody shelled out, you know, 5 or 8 or 10 grand for the dang thing.
Yeah.
You're probably not going to do that and then blow it off.
Right.
And if you're paying 10 grand for the boot camp, then they have a very strong profit motive to deliver you a good result, and then also to not graduate you unless you've done the work. So, all of that kind of factors in. But yeah, I'm out on anything as the cure all for the
Mm-hmm.
employment blues.
Oh yeah.
So anybody that's out there saying it's all about X, don't trust them.
No.
Anybody that says
Yeah.
it's all about your portfolio, it's not, and they're lying to you. If they even know what the hell they're talking about, they may be completely ignorant and they're just pushing something they're making money from, or they may know what they're talking about and they're pushing something they're making money from, and in which case really don't trust them. Like if somebody says like the answer is this, and oh by the way I sell that same thing, done. Yeah.
So yeah, so it's not about like getting the resume fixed.
Well, it is, but it's a yes and thing, and
Yeah,
that's why,
yeah.
full disclosure, I sell a course, and I just finished building it. And I do a shit job promoting it, but I sell a data analytics career course that I built myself. It's all me standing in front of my marker board, like, talking about different topics, but it's an all of the above approach. And I'll break it down absolutely, and I'll be like, look, if you've got a great network, most of the rest of the stuff may or may not even matter.
Yeah, yeah. That's so
Because,
crazy.
assuming you have the skills, and everything is, hey, you're assuming you're competent. I don't
Yeah.
even want to, if you if you stink at analytics, if you can't do the job technically, all bets are off. Now you're in there trying to run a con job.
Right.
But assuming that you're technically competent and you're hurting for a job, what's the most important thing if you invest in it? Your network.
Mm-hmm.
What's the next most important thing? Your resume. Why? Because everybody sees it. It's a touch point in every process.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you've got a good network, your resume is an afterthought. So that's why I put network first. But to sit there and say, hey, the name of the game, the A to Z of getting a job these days is network. No, bullshit.
Yeah.
It could be a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And at the point where somebody says, show me your portfolio, the answer better not be, I don't have one. Although I am like kind of all the way out on portfolios as a golden ticket to Jobville.
Mm-hmm.
You still, it's, I'm a big fan of, hey, have all of your touch points in order. Your resume, and they should all be aligned. Like your
Mm-hmm.
resume should be singing the same song about you as your portfolio, as your LinkedIn profile, as your elevator pitch, as your, you know, whatever you are, be that thing, but be that thing everywhere. So if
Yeah.
you're a marketing guy, if you're a real estate gal, if you're a, whatever the thing is that you want to specialize in, my advice is to pick one, but make sure everything's in line with that. If you're doing portfolio projects, they should be portfolio projects that are in that domain. If your LinkedIn headline should say, "I'm a marketing analyst. Call me. I need a job." Um, Probably not those exact words, but your resume should say that
Something like
same thing. And when shit's out of alignment, that's when people get themselves in trouble because now you're confusing the issue. Like, what are you?
Yeah. Really, recruiters don't want to go onto your page and then try to figure out what you do.
Yep.
They want to like be able to look at it and go, "Oh, this is what this person does."
Any resume you submit should establish you as a viable candidate for that one job.
Yeah.
If it does more than that, if it's a general resume, you're reducing your effectiveness.
Yeah.
So, and I talk
Yeah.
extensively about like how much time do you want to invest in your application process, and you know how many tailored resumes should I have? Well, how much time you got, and
Yeah.
how much do you care about that one job as opposed to
Yeah.
all others?
Yeah.
So it's always a trade-off. Like time is not infinite. So, but that's a decision to be made. And again, anybody that says it's all about volume, you should get out 100 applications a day, man, run away. Um, you should tailor every resume. I say run away.
Yeah.
Like lots of different ways to crack the nut.
So, that was actually a lot of advice. I was gonna ask you, like, we're coming up to
What
the
advice
end
do
of
you have?
the hour.
Yeah.
But like if there's one thing you just like
Yeah.
gave a whole bunch of good advice. But if there's one thing that somebody who's wanting to make a career change, if there's one thing that they can focus on and do or focus on and become, what is that one thing?
One thing to do, get
Yeah.
out there and make friends. I don't care
That's
if
great,
yeah,
man.
I don't care if you're an introvert. I'm an introvert, man. I like that wedding drained me. I don't like being around big groups of people. In-person networking events terrify me. Get out there, get out of your comfort zone. Get out there and make some friends. The best way to find out about a domain, make friends that are doing that job and talk to them.
Yeah.
Best way to find out about opportunities, what jobs are out there. Go build a network, make some friends.
Hmm.
And to me, that encapsulates everything. Because when I say my biggest advice about networking is, like you pointed out before I even got the chance to, don't be transactional. Like, seek first to be of service.
Yeah.
So it's ask not what your country can do for you. Like,
What you
go
can do for
go
your
be a
country.
friend
Yep.
to other people. And that kind of misquote of Dale Carnegie's, to be interesting, first be interested. Didn't actually say that, but it's a paraphrase. But it's well put. Like, when you're sending a connection request, be interested in the other person.
Yeah.
Point out something about them or ask something about them. Um, so yeah, really, it's about making connections. There I go. It's about making connections. It's about being friendly, being helpful. Giving people something specific that you want to know about them, that you can help them with, and that's when people learn to depend on you, and that's when they start thinking, okay, this is a person that I want to help, and I want to, that maybe they want to work with.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on, man. We've been talking
Been a
for like
pleasure
an hour
being here.
already.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
These are the best
Um,
podcasts, man. When you look at the time and you're like, what? How did that happen?
yeah, exactly. That's so crazy. So everybody else, I'm gonna be off next week because it's a long weekend for me. And we're also, celebrating 250,
Heck yeah.
250. Um,
See if the soccer
and
team can get
Oh,
on to the next round.
that would
That'd
be
be great.
crazy. Yeah. But the next episode we have is like July 13th, I believe. And I'm
Awesome.
having Andy Yousey back on. He was on last month.
Okay.
And so he does he's in the world of like animation, film
Oh, neat.
production. Yeah, he was. He we talked about the first time we talked about his involvement in producing, creating, and all that stuff in Veggie Tales. And
Wow.
yeah, oh
Yeah,
yeah, he's like he's in there with like all this stuff. I'm like, man, I have no idea what you're talking about, but this is
that's
really
awesome.
cool. But yeah, he's coming back on in 2 weeks, and so until then, we'll see you guys there. Oh, Albert, don't go anywhere. I'm gonna talk to you in the studio. But everybody
Got it.
else, man, have a great Fourth of July weekend. Be safe. Remember, if it's on fire, don't hold it for very long. If it's like, whoo, we
Don't
see a
pet
lot of
burning
things.
dogs.
A lot of things. You ever heard of what's his name? Is Jason Pierre-Paul? He
Hmm.
was a defensive
Yeah.
lineman in the NFL.
Blew his
And
fingers
one
off at
year,
fireworks. Yeah.
yes, dude's only got like three fingers on one
Yeah.
hand. So let that be a cautionary tale that even if you're big and bad on the football field, that does not make you
Yeah.
immune
Fireworks
from
versus flesh is a
fireworks
bad
blowing
matchup.
up in your hands. So
Yeah.
let's be smart. Don't drink and drive. Have a good time.